Okay, so today we're going to focus on a case study to highlight how simple mistakes in calculating risk can have unintended consequences, including an FDA warning letter. The point is not the mistakes in themselves. The point is that these mistakes lead to decisions that directly or indirectly affect patient safety. So this case study is about a cardiac monitor for sort of long-term monitoring. And this is a very important device because many times patients actually may have some symptoms, but it's not a serious condition. It could become a serious condition at any time if they have irregular heartbeat or any of the arrhythmias, but they don't have any visible health problems. So this is meant for really people who require some long-term monitoring and they don't need to be in a hospital or a clinic where they are under constant supervision. FDA is saying it appears that your firm failed to properly calculate the probability of occurrence of the potential safety issue. They are writing that in the warning letter. And it is somewhat unusual for FDA to actually give an argument for their observations with the background of mistakes in the risk management or risk analysis process. So it is pretty unusual. So that's why I think it's useful for us to take a good look at it. So here's the reason for FDA scrutiny. Let's put the context first. Authorized indication for this device is to capture, analyze, and report symptomatic and asymptomatic cardiac events and ECG information for long-term monitoring. And explicitly it is stated in the indications for use that it is not intended for use on critical care patients. It is explicitly mentioned there. Now notice that this 510(k) was cleared in 2017. Since then, maybe many things have happened. Among them, there are some unapproved claims on the manufacturer's website, which in my opinion is the main issue here. That is what triggered this FDA inquiry and the warning letter. But look at the claims they are making. Intended for near real-time monitoring as a mobile cardiac telemetry monitor. So that gives the impression that it is almost instantaneous. You can get information instantaneous, make decisions quickly. So they are implying that it could be also used for critical patients. It can provide notifications immediately and intended for high-risk patients. Obviously, these claims are totally outside the approved or authorized indications for use. So that's the context for FDA scrutiny. Further, there have been design changes since the initial 510(k). For example, there have been changes in the hardware and firmware, and these design changes present new risks, right, that have not been communicated with the FDA. There have been changes in the algorithm. The algorithm detects whether there is any asymptomatic or symptomatic event that should be reported. So the algorithm is getting better, and that also may introduce some new risks. So the bottom line is the modified device is adulterated and misbranded. In the warning letter, it has been stated that it is both adulterated and misbranded because FDA has not received a new 510(k) or a new PMA for these changes, and misbranded because the manufacturer is making claims that are not authorized and they have not informed the FDA that they want to market this type of a product with these claims. So this is a very serious situation, and no wonder FDA is taking a pretty critical look at this. With this sort of background, you can understand why FDA might be interested in looking at their risk analysis process and how it might affect decisions that link to patient safety. Why is this a significant issue? So what? What's the big deal? I want to read this statement from the warning letter to you to put this in context. Your miscalculation underestimated the likelihood of someone being injured. According to your updated CAPA procedure, the difference in the occurrence rating for the HHE would have required an update to your risk management documentation, and the HHE shows that this was not selected. So they didn't make the right decision because they underestimated the risk. Further, when conducting the HHE, your firm failed to apply the health risk table in your risk management SOP. This miscalculation is significant because this HHE procedure is used to assess whether or not you will initiate field action. So it directly impacts patient safety. Forget about the fact that they didn't even update their risk management files. That's an internal issue. But they didn't even take action that could have maybe safeguarded patients a little bit more because of this issue. So it's a very serious issue in the eyes of the FDA, and they are essentially not satisfied with the response from the manufacturer that they simply updated their procedure and provided training. So note that the FDA is siding against CAPA, not risk management. So their observation is saying that failure to adequately establish and maintain procedures for implementing corrective and preventive action as required by 21 CFR 820.100. That's a current QSR. That's the citation. This observation is linked to the CAPA problem. Specifically, you failed to conduct a health hazard evaluation, HHE, when required by your CAPA procedure. So that's all they can do in the current system. How would this change under QMSR? So I want to say a couple of things about that. So first, QMSR is based on the foundation of ISO 13485. ISO 13485 is the global standard for quality management system for medical devices. And the aspect of risk is integrated across the QMS. There are many places where risk is explicitly mentioned. In the current QSR, risk is mentioned only in one place, that is in 820.30G under design controls. Clearly, this situation is not directly linked to design controls, so they cannot cite them against risk analysis in the QSR. But what about CAPA effectiveness? They are not saying CAPA effectiveness, but behind the scenes, there is a CAPA effectiveness issue. So under QMSR, this could be looked at from many different places, many different views. So